So, you want to buy a house and sink probably the largest amount of money that you could think of into a few walls and a toilet. Hey, I'd say that's a good thing. So this is a beginner's guide for you. Hey guys, how's it going and thanks for coming. I'm Nick and this is Real Life Money, where we talk about real life and money. Please do not forget to subscribe. Much appreciated. So you heard it right. This is kind of a beginner's guide to first home time buyers. Because, fun fact, I'm actually going through that process right now, so I'm learning a lot. So I'd figure to pass that knowledge to you. So I'm going through mortgage specialists, loan officers, so I'm getting the basics and fundamentals out of the way. So that's exactly what we're going into right now. And you'd think that the first thing you actually have to do is start looking at houses, when it's actually not the first thing that you should do. Now, yeah, it's good to have like a basic knowledge of what you like to go for, maybe like a estimated price range. However, there is more work to be done prior to all that fun, like more fun stuff than paperwork that no one really cares about. So the first thing that you can start even right now is working on your credit score. And our credit scores are very, very important because it basically shows the lender, the bank, whoever we're getting this money from. I mean, we're assuming that you're not shelling out cash for your first home. It's definitely absolutely possible. However, most people don't do that. So we're just assuming that you're getting this from a bank. So that's why you need a good credit score. It shows that you're trustworthy. It shows that you could actually pay your bills and you're not late on anything, and that's what they want to see. That's what they're looking for. Bad credit means more risk for the lender. You kind of have to think about it from their perspective. So for me personally, I do have an above an 800 credit score. I do have other videos going into the main factors to determine your credit score. If you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description. Extremely important, because with a higher credit score, you're able to slap the bank around a little bit. Metaphorically, of course. So with that better credit score, you're able to get a better rate. They'll trust you more, so you end up saving a bunch of money. Your part comes into play by paying down existing debts that you have, and this could vary around everything from credit card debt, student loan debt, car loans, any personal loans, loans from Uncle Larry. You gotta pay that stuff down. And don't take out any more debt, because mortgage is going to be probably the largest debt that you'll have. You don't want much more than that. And for heaven's sakes, pay your payments. Pay your bills, man. If you have $100, you can't spend $200 on shoes. We're going back to third grade math here. So once you have your credit score kind of under control, the next main factor that they look at is your income. So they do look at, you need some past W-2s. I believe it's 2 years prior W-2s that they want to look at. And they would also want a pay stub. So they actually have evidence that you have income. You got a job. Which then brings us into the debt to income ratio. A little bit more advanced than third grade math, but if you stick with me, because I go real slow, you'll get it. So debt to income is exactly how it sounds. It compares the niceness of your clothes and car to the niceness of the house that you want to buy. No, that's a joke. Side note, you shouldn't care about what other people think, what you're wearing, what you're driving, because then you will be living for them and not yourself. Slipped a little word of wisdom in there for you, but like it says, debt to income, it compares your debts to your income. So like we said before, you look at all your debts: credit card debt, student loan debt, car loans, and it also incorporates the new loan that you're taking on, which is your mortgage. So all that combined, comparing to your income right now. So what the heck does that mean? So let's go over examples, because examples help everyone. So let's say you're making just to make things simple, it's kind of average, you're making $60,000 a year. You can make that on your own. If you're with someone, you're both making 30, whatever. However you get to 60,000, however you get to 60,000, we're starting off with that, which equates to $5,000 a month. I'm not looking at taxes. It's technically less than that, but taking that out of the equation, keeping it simple, that's $5,000 a month. Now, let's compare that to, let's say, the mortgage debt, and let's say all your debts combined equaling $2,000 a month. So when we compare your debts to your incomes, so you have your $2,000 a month for debts versus $5,000 a month for your income, that gives you a 40% debt to income ratio. And when I was talking with mortgage specialists, and I'm going to be talking to more loan officers in the near future, of course it does depend who you talk to, but it seems like the average ratio they look for is 44 to 48%. If you have more than that, then it seems like that debt is too much for you because your income is low. Now, yes, there might be exceptions and special people and all that good stuff. This is just basics, fundamentals, kind of just like an estimate for the average Joe or Joette. Try to incorporate the girls in there too. So those are the main factors that they first look at. Now let's look at some additional helpful hints and advice they also look at. So when you're applying for these mortgages, like we said before, your credit. So let's go back to that scenario, right? So they pull your credit. Back then, because you want to shop around for the best rates, right? So you don't want to just stick with one person and yeah, I'll go with you. No, you want to shop around to see how you could save money. So you might go to like a mortgage lender or a bank and credit union, which we'll be talking about those in just a minute. But back then, you would have to pull your credit multiple times, which could hurt your credit. The more times you pull it, the more times it could get hurt. Now, what I recently heard anyway, I did bring this up in a question to a mortgage specialist. They said if you pull multiple times within a 30-day period, it would essentially be seen as just one pull. Because obviously, they kind of understand when you're going for a mortgage, you're looking around at different places. So if you do multiple places, let's say 3 places in 1 month, it counts as one pull, so it doesn't hurt you as much. Now, like what we just mentioned, there are mortgage lenders, banks, and credit unions. Where could you even get these mortgages, right? Well, I was talking to, technically it's Quicken Loans, I don't know if I should say that, but whatever, I am. So through them, I did get an estimated rate of around 5%. I recently got a letter in the mail. Of course, this is an estimate. It's not actual at all, but they're giving around a 4%. But, which is what I would recommend, a lot of people would recommend as well, credit unions, because they're essentially non-for-profit. Banks make their money from lending money. Credit unions are non-for-profit. They don't try to make as much money from these other big banks. So they usually give better rates. For my credit union, they're actually giving, of course this is estimated, probably depends on your credit and income and all that good stuff. But they're giving rates under 4%. It's actually closer to 3.5% at this point. So if you're the perfect borrower with the great credit and everything, definitely try to go through a credit union. You could save a bunch of money because 1% doesn't seem like a lot. However, 1% on hundreds of thousands of dollars in a mortgage over decades equates to thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. Next, of course, a big topic you probably thought I forgot about. How much money do you actually need? So obviously you probably heard of, ideally you would want 20% down on a house. So for example, for every $100,000, you have to come up with $20,000. Now there are loans called FHA loans. The minimum for you to put down for that is actually 3.5%. Make sure you do a little research into the requirements necessary for that. I did find out a fun fact about FHA loans that you might have not learned about is later on down the road, if you want a home equity line of credit. What that means, let's say if your property value increases, you have a little bit of money in it now because it's worth more, you could normally take that out and use it for whatever you really wish. You could use it on other debts, renovations, which I wouldn't really recommend, or even buying another property. It could be used as like a down payment. With an FHA loan, you actually can't take out a home equity. I've heard anyway. Do research, of course, but you actually have to refinance the loan instead, which then brings more closing costs. So if you're looking at like home equity in the future, it actually might be more expensive to go with an FHA. Just something to think about. And another number to understand, if it's like an investment property, which is something that I'm actually looking into right now, of course, there might be exceptions and everything, but I guess rule of thumb is a 25% down because it's a little bit more risk for the bank, so they want more money in it. Kind of connecting with the certain amount of down payment that you have is private mortgage insurance, also known as PMI. So, in most cases, if you put down less than 20%, it's a little bit more risky for the bank because you don't have, a bunch of money in the house. So you have to pay extra insurance in that. So I believe average could be maybe like 0.5% to 1% extra in your monthly payments. If you put down that 20%, you do not have to pay that PMI. So that's why a lot of people would recommend putting that 20% down because you have a little bit more equity in the property and you don't have that extra PMI insurance that you have to pay every single month. So with all these tips, guys, you are now ready to start looking into mortgages, maybe start applying, pre-qual, pre-applying. There's a bunch of terms out there, but you could definitely start looking into that with all these different helpful tips and a guide that helps you get started. Again, I'm in the process right now, so when I go further down the process and learn more, I would love to share more with you guys as well. Eventually, when I get that property, I would love to do maybe like a tour around it to show you it, plans and everything. So it's an interactive type of thing. So if you guys would love to go along that journey, of course, subscribe, but also leave a comment down below. Any questions, comments, concerns, of course, down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about really anything. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Good luck with the mortgage process. It's a process. It's a bunch of paperwork, but eventually, after the beginning, you could actually start looking for houses that you might love to live in. So, thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.